Many thanks to the Destruction Squad, Clash from the servers, Sergeant Pepper's servers, Sea of Tools Cloud, Dallas, the Struggle Community, the Karma Crew servers, Dots, Designful, Friendly, a DayZ podcast, and the Settlement for making this video possible. The different animals of DayZ reward different amounts of loot, but exactly what determines loot amount was not clear until now. So in this video I'm going to reveal the secrets of getting the maximum loot possible from each and every animal and rank the best animals to hunt on each map. In one of my previous videos I mentioned that overkilling animals is what reduces the amount of loot we get when we skin them. This is still true, but based on more tests I found exactly what determines loot amounts. All animals in DayZ have several different hitboxes, all with their own health pools. The lower the health of each body part, the lower the amount of food or the quality level you will get when it comes to skinning them, which is the only factor that determines loot amount. The knife you use or the quality level of the knife does not matter at all. This applies to all body parts with the exception of one, so if all of these here are 0 health when you skin that animal, you will get no meat at all from this animal, and the pelt that you get will be ruined too. The only hitbox that does not reduce the loot amount is the head of the animal, so the head hitbox, if that reaches 0, it does not affect how much loot you get. So if you only damage the head hitbox, you will get a ridiculous amount of meat and the most pristine of pelts. This works even if you use the most powerful weapons to headshot a chicken. You will always get 4 chicken steaks every time, so naturally I went ahead and headshotted all the animals to get their maximum loot amounts. As I said for chickens, 4 steaks with a clean headshot, but if the bullet damages multiple hitboxes, so if you shoot it from the front or the back and it goes through the chicken, you will only get 2, which applies to all the other static animals in DayZ, with the static animals being chickens, hares and foxes. For normal animals, overkilling results in getting no meat at all if you do too much damage to the animal, with the pelt also being ruined, but all the other materials are exactly the same, so overkilling a large deer still gets you 3 pieces of fat, 3 guts and 3 stacks of bones, much like headshotting. The differences in meat here are absolutely immense though. 18 pieces of venison steak and 3 fat is equal to 17,550 calories when baked, or in other words 14 cans of 100% tactical bacon for 1 deer that you killed with a headshot, and up to 4 can spawn in one group, with up to 6 spawning in one group on Sakau. This works with all firearms. Melee is not good enough really, it's too inaccurate to hit the head of the animal every time, and explosives damage every single body part of the animal, so it's probably the worst weapon to use if you want maximum meat. As for the predators, only the bear rewards a decent amount of meat, totaling 33,200 calories per kill, whereas a single wolf will give you 10% of that at 3,300. However, because they're dangerous and you need to take vitamins each time you eat predator meat, they're certainly not the best animal to hunt. I went ahead and collected the maximum amount of calories each animal gives us in DayZ to see which ones are best to hunt, so here are all the animals and the energy we get per kill when using only headshots. The bear is on top with its dangerous and diseased meat, with only cattle competing really. However, only 1 bear spawns inside a group, whereas up to 3 cattle can spawn in a group, so I've added the maximum group sizes for each map too. On generous then, the best animal to hunt is cattle given their group size, but large deer are not far behind. When you factor in how many groups there are per map, 7 for cattle and 9 for large deer, I would say these 2 animals are fairly even, but cattle is a lot easier to kill and they have massive head hitboxes, and they also don't run 1,000 meters away from you when you fire a shot. The story is the same on Livonia, with 8 cattle and 9 deer. Cattle are best on Livonia too. On Sakau though, cattle do not spawn, but reindeer do, and with how there can be up to 6 in one group on Sakau, there's over 100,000 calories potentially if you headshot all the reindeer in a group of 6, making reindeer the best on this map. There is one final factor to consider though, animal distribution, and how many of each animal dominates each map, and therefore which ones you will likely find the most. On Chernarus, that's certainly wolves, making up 1/4 of all animals that you're going to come across, which aren't great for food, but large deer and cattle do have decent coverage, so either of these is great to hunt on this map. On Livonia, wolves dominate more, with large deer and cattle being found less, so Chernarus is better for calories over Livonia. And finally we have Sakau, which has a huge wolf dominance on it. 46% of all animals you come across will be wolves, which I believe anyone that's played this map can confirm. Certainly I can, but reindeer make up 1/4 of the population of animals, so are still the best on this map. From all this data, the best map to hunt on looks like it's Sakau reindeers, but you have to consider that cattle do not spawn in Sakau, and because you can find cattle on Livonia and Chernoris, these are the best maps to hunt on. But Chernoris is safer than Livonia when it comes to wolves and bears, crowning cattle or large deer on Chernoris the best method to gather loads of calories at relatively low risk levels and not having to deal with wolves or the cold of Sakau. This third video in the animal series pretty much concludes my research on animals in DayZ, so I've turned it into a playlist to turn animal noobs into animal pros, from how they behave and travel, to how to find and kill them, to now extracting the maximum amount of loot possible. If you watched all 3 of these, thank you very much for learning along with me, and have a good day.